rights and freedoms.
Can we go back to our proposition? Our proposition is a free country better than a secure country. Now, it calls for two possible scenarios, although, well, not really probable, but possible scenario. One scenario is we have freedom, but without security, and the other scenario is that we have security, but at the sacrifice or without freedom. Now, can you please argue on these points?
I would like to correct you that having security is without freedom at all, because freedom cannot be violated, or it cannot be abolished from us, because it is inviolable. It is in our fundamental rights that...
No, my point is we are trying to debate here on which is more important, whether it's freedom or the security of the individual. So if they cannot coexist, so we will have to choose which is more important. Is it more important to be free but without security, or is it more important to be secure but without freedom?
Of course, security is more important, because where there is security, freedom will follow. You cannot have freedom when there is no security.
No, freedom
is more important. You cannot exercise freely or freedom if you don't have security.
Freedom is more important, because where there is freedom, there is security.
Because you said that freedom is your security. You said that freedom is your security. So how can you sustain your freedom if you don't have security?
When you relinquish your freedom, you're giving up some securities as well. You're giving up your security from false accusations. You're giving up your security from privacy invasion, and security from being pushed around by a totalitarian government.
So let me try to this out the issue. So you're saying Scholastica is saying that when you have freedom, then security follows.
Yes, because...
And you are saying that when we have security, freedom follows.
Yes, that is our point.
Now, what if they do not follow? These things do not follow.
Freedom.
What if we can only have one? Then which is more important?
We believe that freedom is more important because, for example, with the U.S. Patriot Act and the Human Security Act, you're taking away freedom. And how are you so sure that these methods will be effective in the first place?
Freedom is never taken away.
Of course it
is. It is only violated.
When you're listening,
freedom can never be taken away from you.
Of course it is.
There is no absence of freedom, because it is your fundamental right. It cannot be abrogated. It cannot be abolished.
What can you say about the military tribunals? The detainees there, they don't even have a right to a phone call. They don't even have a right to a lawyer. Where is their freedom? Can you ask?
They have their freedom. They have their fundamental rights, and these rights are the right to life, property.
When you're in a military tribunal, what rights do you have?
You still have your fundamental rights. These can never be abrogated.
You don't have
these rights are the right to life, property,
free. You said that there are rights.
Charisse, react to the issue. React to the question.
You said that in a military something there is tribunal rather.
See, you didn't do your research well enough.
We did actually.
You don't even know what a military
tribunal is. Our preparation was very
is.
tedious, in fact, actually. Okay, you said that in a military tribunal there is no freedom exercised, but there is, of course, because there is no such thing as absolute absence of freedom, because we have our fundamental freedom, and these are the right to life, liberty, property, and pursuit of happiness.
So can you tell me, in a military tribunal, is there a right to pursuit of happiness? Is there?
Of course, you can still live freely and happily with your family. It is
in the military tribunal,
violated.
In a military tribunal, you're not even allowed to tell your family that you're there. Your name is not even said that you're there. All along, for 2 years of you missing, your family
might still eat. You're still free to eat.
Are you sure that
what's the purpose of this military
when you don't even know why you're there? When you're innocent.
So in a third country, you can still exercise freedom. You're free to live happily with your family. You're free to eat. You're free to travel.
Yes, it is part of the U.S. Patriot Act. It is for security. It is claimed for national security.
Here, I will quote someone in the Guantanamo Bay Detention Center during a military tribunal. The lawyer said, "Once again, international law and Geneva Convention doesn't matter here. If you deviate from that one more time, you will be removed from this tribunal, and we will continue to hear evidence without you being present." Do you call that freedom? That isn't freedom. They're taking away your freedom of speech. You can't even defend yourself during a military tribunal.
Yes, and they even convict you without proper evidence. They don't even have carry the burden to get evidence. If what the military says is what the military says, you don't even have the right to a lawyer or a phone call. Your family members don't even know you're there. Where's the freedom in that? What's the purpose of eating and breathing when you're innocent there? Hamdi spent almost 3 years in that military tribunal without even
if you say that the U.S. Patriot Act is faulty, the U.S. Patriot Act is always open for revision, and that is for security. That is also a call for security.
The Constitution does not agree with the U.S. Patriot Act anymore. How come the Constitution can't do anything about it? Because the administration of George W. Bush does not allow them to say anything about it.
The administration of George W. Bush now has too much executive power, and then the people can't even do anything, even if they don't want
the administration of George W. Bush doesn't even care what the Constitution says.
Then abolish the U.S. Patriot Act
How can you when
still
the-
ensure
when
the
the
security of the
president doesn't even
people,
allow the Constitution
but we
to
must
say
still
anything?
prioritize the security of the people
No, but
of
what if it's
America.
not effective?
But you're
How can
focusing,
you prove that
you're
it's not
only
effective?
focusing on the U.S. Patriot Act. What about the Human Security Act? Because the Human Security Act is in the Philippines.
The
and
Human
that should-
Security Act was adopted from the U.S. Patriot Act.
According to
But the Human Security Act is different from the U.S. Patriot Act because in the Human
How-
Security Act, there are no violation of human rights.
Like in the in the Anti-Terrorist Act here in the Philippines, they also allow warrantless wiretapping.
Oh, the wiretapping and the privacy of communication, that only happens with the due process of law because it needs the approval of the Court of Appeals.
But it's open to all sorts of abuse. According
Yes.
to Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, anti-terror bills everywhere in the world have always resulted in provisions that run counter to the Bill of Rights of any particular country. Those bills make the entire public suffer for the criminal acts of a few. Apparently, nothing in our history of law enforcement indicates that these restrictions and limitations on individual freedom were able to prevent a terrorist attack. The country must not be ruled by paranoia, but by reason. We must protect people from
Okay,
infringement.
reaction, Your Honor.
But according to the Bill of Rights of the Philippines, the Bill of Rights itself does not purport an absolute guarantee of individual rights and liberty. Even liberty itself, the greatest of all rights, is not an unrestricted license to act according to one's will. It is subject to the far more overriding demands and requirements of the greatest number. In this case, the gravity of the crime of terrorism, the widespread effects thereof, and the interests of the national security justify restrictions on certain constitutional rights.
But you're contradicting yourself. Earlier you said that freedom can't be taken away from you no matter what.
It is not taken away, it is regulated only.
But earlier, when we were giving the military tribunal example, you were saying that freedom can't be taken away no matter what.
So
It cannot be taken away, it's only regulated.
So
Okay.
in a government